All right. Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are. I am Ariana Sylvester, your host of the Family Entrepreneur Life live show. And tonight I am beyond thrilled to welcome a new guest onto the show. And her name is Dorothea Volpe. And Dorothea has one of the most interesting stories of anyone I've met so far in this entrepreneurial space. And thank you to one of our members for introducing me to her, Miss Ashley Grant. And we chatted and ended up chatting for a really long time because, of course, we just kept talking. But she is a daughter of a family of entrepreneurs who made wine in Italy. Then she became a young strategist of international law enforcement technology. She's got a background in NLP, neuro-linguistic pathology, and even dabbled a little bit in hostage negotiation back when she was younger. Then tragedy struck and she lost her fiance in a horrible battle with cancer. Her TED Talk on this, I swear, guys, it gave me goosebumps and I had tears in my eyes. It was a very, very powerful piece. So I will put the link in here for you guys to check that out later. This event changed her life and is what brings us the amazing entrepreneur that she has become today. An expert in entrepreneurship, personal branding, social media for community building, and innovation, Dorothea is an avid skateboarder who tweets to relax. So welcome.
Hello. And I do want to do a quick shout out to Ashley Grant because she was so lovely to introduce
she says,
the two of us.
Woohoo!
And what I'll say also is that you can't see it right now, but I am wearing my Vans.
Yes!
So thank you so very much. I will just say one thing. My correct surname is actually Bozicolona-Volpe. And I always make sure that I mention my full name because it's part of my lineage. But it's not easy to pronounce.
No, it is not easy.
So not like Sylvester, which is the cat that everybody remembers. He was kind of a mischievous cat, wasn't he?
He was a very mischievous cat. Actually, I don't use my maiden name, but it's Cuadrado.
Oh, Cuadrado is so beautiful, though, isn't it?
It is. It's my middle name. I officially took it as my middle name because I didn't want to lose that piece of heritage, but I also did not want to have to hyphenate Cuadrado Sylvester and confuse the crap out of everyone.
But it's such a pretty and very kind of literate, Cuadrado Sylvester, Bozicolona-Volpe. I mean, it just falls off the tongue. And I also want to, first and foremost, apologize to some of your listeners and people who are viewing right now. I have a cold, and we've talked about this now I think I'm on day 3 of the cold that just will not go away. I came back from Europe, and I think that it just sort of pushed my clock a little bit off. I would love to say that I have gotten up at a normal hour, but it varies now between 3 and 5 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m., sometimes 3:45. And I have not, I think, done a good job of taking good care of myself just these last couple of days because I've been participating in a conference here in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's just been interesting. So I'm excited to be here and it's an honor. So thank you.
Yay, I'm so excited. And don't worry about the cold. I've been on a couple times as well with my, cup of tea and a cold, and I sound a little bit lower. My voice sounds a little bit deeper. So I warn people. We kind of know.
And I have mineral water.
Are you sure it's mineral water?
That's what I'm telling you. So I'll make it through. There we go. It's clear and it's clear. So there we go.
Ashley says you need whiskey and lemon, a Kentucky trick.
Yeah, I was really sick once not too long ago, and I've got a friend who lives in Kentucky, Jason Falls, who is hilarious, and he's had a podcast that I've been on, and it was lovely, and I really wish it would have continued. It was called 100 Proof, Badass Radio, and it was a podcast. And it's on Stitcher still. I think there might be one of the episodes out there of me on it. And he's just hilarious. And I remember putting up, oh my God, I'm so sick. And he gave me a really good recipe, or had given me the recipe maybe after. And it was, to your point, it was like whiskey or bourbon, lemon and honey. And then you warm it up like a hot toddy. Mm-hmm. And you just knock it back. And supposedly it, well, first off, think about it. Like after that, you're really feeling no pain. So what does it really matter? if you have a cold, you're just kind of completely high as a kite.
Just relax.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that the goal there is that you take it, and then what it does is it then allows you to sleep and really get a deep sleep, and you sweat it out. So
You
that's
do?
really
Yeah.
good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've tried that before. The tea and the hot tea and a little bit of, I think we did blackberry whiskey. And it was,
sounds yummy.
it was pretty tasty, but I definitely felt it after one. I was like, oh man.
And for those of you who are 21 and under, please drink responsibly and know that I'm just speaking for myself.
Yes.
And the rest of you.
Legal drinkers only, please.
Legal drinkers only. I don't want, oh, little Johnny saw this funny lady with an accent on Facebook Live the other night, and she was telling him how to make a cocktail. Yeah. I wouldn't be the first time I was accused of being a bit of an anti-mame. I raised my voice.
Well, our children played with mini liquor bottles because, when you own a liquor store and you bring them with you, sometimes you just have to give them something to play with.
I know, isn't that fabulous? I think
tiny bottles
that they learn young. And as we're speaking, people are knocking at your door right now. The police are there. I've come to take your children. No. They're horrible. I tell you something, I really need the laugh though, because it's called kicking my bum. Yes, so here I am.
Here you are. What? Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start with your story. I mean, obviously we've got the wine connection. Your family made wine. Mm-hmm. Our store sells wine. But the things that you must have seen in your journey so far, I just can't. What's been one of the coolest jobs you have worked or companies you've worked with?
I'm probably not going to say the company, if that's okay.
That's fine.
But I will say that I've had the wonderful opportunity to work for a celebrity or two. Mm-hmm. And I don't really get excited by celebrity. It just doesn't. I'm just one of those people that doesn't, oh, that's so-and-so, and look at how beautifully dressed he or she is, or how short they are, or how tall they are. Oh, he has bad skin. No, I don't really get into that. I had the opportunity to recently speak at a conference that I guess I was sort of uniquely skilled to do because of my background in law enforcement tech. And I remember telling a client of mine, Heather, this story because he's just such a good-looking man and he's so smart. But the former FBI director, Robert Mueller, was there. And he's been in the news a lot lately. But this was prior to all of that sort of happening and him being sort of appointed the job of special prosecutor. And yeah, I guess he had read my bio in the program, and the company that I had worked for, he was very familiar with, and they were contracted to the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the CIA, the NSA, and he sort of took me aside, and we were taking a picture together. He says, I read your bio, kid. And I was like, yes. I said, yes, sir. I said, I'm with that company, and so on and so forth. And he said, did you do the whole, something weeks of the hostage negotiation course? And I said, yes, certified. I never had the chance to completely use it, but yes, I did. And he says, oh, you're the cutest hostage negotiator I've ever seen. And I blushed like from the bottom of my feet to the top of my forehead. And that's just when they took the picture. And I was beet red. And people said to me, were you okay? Did you have a little too much sun out in San Diego? You never go to the sun. I was like, no, you don't know what he said to me prior to. But I was a little awestruck, and that was kind of a nifty, cool thing to experience. Somebody, somebody with that kind of, let's say, internal knowledge of the inner workings of our governmental systems.
That is pretty cool.
What I'll say about that. And, there's been other cool things. I'll say that, you know a little bit about the wine business from your work at the liquor store with your husband, owning a liquor store. And I see that in your office, you're completely stocked quite nicely back there with a few bottles and some, I know, and some wine glasses. And I've got clients in the wine business, when you grow up, I think in an environment where you are consistently seeing how somebody's running a company. I worked as a canopy manager. I picked grapes. I did, tons of things that, in agriculture that some people don't even know that how wine is produced or how grapes are sold as a commodity. So it can be blended in other wines and what have you. It was a great opportunity, I think, to learn and see relationships very close up, and I know we're going to touch upon that a little bit later on in our conversation, because that was a point we kind of discussed as we were prepping for today's call up just about 20 minutes ago. But I think that's also too, you know, I was involved with an entrepreneur. George was an entrepreneur. He, you know, worked several jobs to finally get to where he wanted to be in his own business. And I firmly believe that there's nothing more romantic than being a part of of an entrepreneur's journey, even if it's just like you're that little piece. Maybe you're an angel investor, or maybe you're the customer, or maybe you know, in my case, you're the partner, or you're the granddaughter of someone. It's a very romantic journey because, you know, think about this: people have ideas and goals all the time. They're going to create something, they're going to build something, and then you watch it being built and it comes to fruition. I mean, my word, there's nothing more romantic than that, you know?
I love that. And so your journey after you lost George, how did you come back from that and decide that you were going to kind of take your own life in your hands and take charge?
Yeah, so I wound up working for a bit longer in law enforcement tech for one specific company. And, you know, there wasn't really at that point a sense of personal purpose. What I can say is that I got very involved in my work, as I understand a great number of people who are in mourning tend to do. There's a lot of different ways that you can go. I remember I ate a lot. There's like a span of years there where there are no pictures of me because I ate a great deal. You know, I just became kind of a chubby wubby, but I got involved in gaming, so I got a chance to really see community close up. And I was gaming with people all over the world. So that's another part of, you know, the community that I was building. And I became very open about my experience. And I think through that, I really learned that, you know, by being authentic, by being transparent, you know, there are people going through things every day. They're struggling with maybe depression or, you know, a job loss, a loss of a loved one, a loss of a pet. My word, we have in just the last month alone, I think we all have a little bit of PTSD between, you know, the hurricanes that have hit, you know, the Gulf Coast and Florida and Texas and obviously Puerto Rico, the shootings in Nevada and elsewhere. We're all going through something.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we take for granted that we have each other. Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook wasn't built because, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, according to the movie, just really wanted to get laid. But, you know, there's more to it. You know, it was about creating a community. It was about allowing people to connect over something that they both felt passionate about, whether it was hockey or a love of biology, you know, or maybe, and I know this is a rather polarizing thing to say, political affiliation, religious affiliation. I think we all have a sense, as entrepreneurs especially, of wanting to give back, of wanting to do something. I don't know anybody in my Rolodex that hasn't done something for society or their family or their church community or their, you know, I mean, I feel very fortunate that I have those kind of, you know, connections. But what I'll say is that, you know, there's a very strong sense of community that we want to be part of something. You know, I'm part of my culture. You know, I just got back from France and, you know, I landed and then a day later I read about what happened in Marseille. You got to keep going, you know. But I think also it's the sense of community, that sense of belonging that I think in my journey, in my mourning, that was sort of my rock, because I didn't have any family, you know, here that could be my emotional safety net. But I had this lovely community of friends that were just kind of willing to kind of take me under their wing and, you know, hey. And I had a lot of friends online, you know, prior to, you know, Facebook and Twitter and this kind of thing. We had things like, you know, I'm going to age myself a little bit, CompuServe and Prodigy.net. and this crazy thing called Friendster and MySpace.
I remember Friendster, and I used to
And
have a MySpace page.
yeah, exactly. And so we were connecting. You know, they say that the largest group of people now that are really joining a lot of the social networks are older because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some of them maybe don't have the mobility that they did when they were much younger through time and maybe health issues. And they're connecting now with people on Facebook and LinkedIn and some of the social visual networks like Snapchat and Instagram. You'd be amazed at how many grandparents are going on just to see what their kids and their
Oh,
families
yes.
and friends
I
are
have a
doing.
grandmother in Georgia that I specifically have to post pictures of the kids because she will go on to all of her grandkids' profiles to see pictures of her great grandchildren. And
Oh
I'll
my
get a
word.
call from her sometimes, and you haven't posted any pictures lately.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Grandma. I'll get on that.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great way to stay connected. You know,
It
community
is.
is everything. I'm moving on now to bottle number 2. So
Hey, you
it's
got to get
water.
that hydration in to get
It's
rid of that
water.
cold.
I promise. I just don't want to like blow my nose on you. I'm just so full of like Actifed right now.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
for the folks who create Actifed, I want to find that guy and write him a thank you note. Mm.
So I love, and everything seems to be moving towards creating your community and finding your people. I mean, Facebook has put out all of these new, they're really pushing for groups and to, you
Yeah.
know, have people come together in groups and businesses to have groups and collecting your audience in groups and creating those connections with people through that, you know, smaller, more tight-knit community space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I know that you do a lot of work with branding in both the big companies that you work with, but also with the entrepreneurs, the solopreneurs. How has that kind of opened things up for people that are trying to connect more with their audience? Have you seen any kind of like differences?
Yeah, I'll say that it's interesting because you'd be amazed at how many people in the C-suite, and I'm not trying to point fingers at all, but there's a great number of people in the C-suite that still fear social media and that still want to control it. Oh my word, just look what happened with Equifax in the last,
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that C-suite is kind of going through. But what we've also found too is that entrepreneurs of small businesses that are competing with larger businesses, let's say in kind of maybe the same industry or the same sort of unit of business, have found that social media has allowed them to sort of jump the shark. And as a C-suite executive, the more authentic you are, the more involved you are in these, we'll call them, back then we would call new media, these new social ways to communicate and connect with your audiences, the more you'll win your audience over, even if you mess up. I'm going to use the example of Delta for a moment. Their CEO, Ed Bastian, they when they had their very first sort of wave of computer issues, I was out in Los Angeles working. And I did a Facebook Live and I said, Ed Bastian, this is your opportunity. You're a brand new CEO. Delta Systems had been down for 3 days. They grounded a ton of flights. They had a lot of problems. This was about, I think, a year, maybe 2 years ago now. And the thing that was so fascinating and interesting is that literally within 24 hours of me doing my Facebook Live, I'd love to think that I had something to do with it, but I'm just one small little grain of sand in the beach. He came out, and he did a Facebook Live. And it was like the first CEO that I saw on a Facebook Live that said, you know what? This isn't us. And he apologized. He apologized to Delta audience members, Delta flyers, passengers, whatever. And he just said, we've got to fix this. But we knew, and he kind of shared, these are the steps that we're taking. And I think that by being so authentic, he actually won me over, And I'm sure if it struck me, it probably struck other people. And I will also say this, let's go back to that community piece for a second as well. As entrepreneurs understand how to use these modalities properly, for their small company, or even, as a vice president at a huge company that's, manufacturing lipstick, for instance, being a little hypothetical there, you'll find that the more you open up the kimono and are willing to begin to have a conversation, the more willing people are to tell you good and bad things, right? And it may be something that informs everything for how you manage your customer service channels, to maybe research and development, But the most important thing is that I think that a lot of people need to realize is that as you take these steps, what you're doing actually is you're building a community, not just around, your company and its offerings, but you're building one around yourself. And that's kind of a magical thing in itself. People will start to begin to look at you as a bit of a thought leader,
Yeah, it's so powerful. I know we both have somewhere to be after this. So
oh my, that's right. The time flies, doesn't it? I'm sorry.
Before we wind down, I wanted to ask you my one question that I always ask everyone on the show, and that is, what is your biggest piece of advice or lesson learned so far on your journey that you want to share with everyone?
Well, I think we kind of covered my lessons learned, and I don't want to be too loquacious because I know we have we've got to stop at a certain time. I really want to kind of talk about two things, and it kind of also piggybacks on community. And somebody spoke today. I'm a big fan of an entrepreneur here in Atlanta, Jeff Hillmeyer, who's built and sold several companies. And I'm a huge fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm very lucky that I can kind of count him in my top 5 mentors and friends. He's always been a great resource to me, and we have a close relationship, which is wonderful, and I'm deeply grateful. But something that they both really say a lot, and that is your network, your reputation. I mean, I say this in my branding courses all the time. It will follow you. So if you have a good reputation in one arena, let's say in one business, and then you decide, hey, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna try something new, I'm gonna go with the flow of where I think, the money is, or where I think my industry is going, your network will follow you. Your community will follow you. And that reputation is really important. I'm going to use an old Hollywood thing, old Hollywood adage, you be very careful of the people that you meet on the way up, because those are the same bums that you're going to be kissing on the way down. That's really important. And I think, the other side of it too is really finding, what you do best and really making a career out of that, some CEOs, Richard Branson's a great example. I know a lot of people use him as an example, and I'm not trying to be tired, but by utilizing him, it's just he really realized that, hey, I don't know all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So when a CEO hires a consultant like myself or hires people around him or her, because there are female CEOs, there's about only 4% in North America, but I just want to make that point.
We're working on it.
Yeah, exactly. And I work with a lot of female CEOs and entrepreneurs, so I feel, and founders, so I feel very, very fortunate for that. You go female power. What I'll say is that the smart ones really understand, okay, you know what? I don't know accounting. I don't know implementation. I'm not a good product person. I need to hire people to do that. And hiring those people that complement them, but also that challenge them. No one wants to be surrounded by a bunch of people that say, oh, yes, Ariana, you're so smart. You know everything. I'm just here to say yes to you. I mean, no one really wants that. They don't. They want to be able to grow themselves, not only in their business, but in their community. They want to be able to be that strong, person and be a strong leader. And to do that, you do have to have your lieutenants. You do have to have smart people around you. So I guess I would say, it's very important that, as a leader, you realize that you do have to have a strong network. You have to maintain a good reputation. And as I said before, I really do believe that people were put on this planet to do good. I really do. I don't think that, this whole thing with social media and the negativity that I think the news, and then also at times we see out in the popular space that, Facebook is this and so on that. Here's the thing. People join groups offline.
Yes.
They go to meetups. They go to their church. They go to places that they enjoy doing things, whether it's, bowling or softball or whatever. We all have something that we enjoy doing that we're passionate about. And it's even more fun when you get a chance to do it with a group of people that are like-minded. And I know I'm losing my voice. I'm so sorry for my cold, but I think what I'm saying at the end, I sound like such a it's all about, but at the end of the day, it really is about, your network, your reputation. And, like I said, people join these groups because they want to feel a sense of community. They want to feel like they're part of something.
Yeah.
We're all a big part of the universe.
We're all a big part of the universe. I love that. But entrepreneurs especially, you know, I think they find their people now that we have this place online where we can easily find other entrepreneurs and see who's like-minded and how we want to, you know, where we want to hang out with those kind of people. So I totally agree with you there. Before we go, where can people find you if they want to follow you or if they want to reach out and, you know, just say, Dorothea, you're awesome. I love you.
Oh, well, that's very sweet. I wish those were the kind of messages I got daily. Who do you think you are? No, I'm joking. No, I think that for me, I'm really very accessible on Twitter and on Instagram. Those are the two that I use the most. I obviously, I always use LinkedIn and I connect with people there. But really, if you want to get to know me and you could see me opening the kimono, I did a funny video of, you know, of my sort of food poisoning stomach flu in Paris recently. It's not to be missed. But it's on Instagram. So I do a lot of, and sometimes I cross post to Facebook, but really I'll say that, you know, Instagram, I'm at Social Espionage. Also in Twitter, I'm the same thing. And that's at SOCIALESPIONAGE. Not everybody knows how to spell it, but, yeah, you know, I'm happy to connect with people and get to know them. Please don't send me any dick pics. So, yeah. I think I just went over the PG-13, didn't I?
I totally love that. Oh my gosh. That was the best comment ever.
I have had some things where I just like was so excited to get a message from somebody and I'm scrolling through and all of a sudden I was like, oh, here's a new follower. Oh my.
The things you have to say when you're online.
Yeah, I know. You're just sort of like, wow, that was an interesting way to start my morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never been a joy to have you on. I love chatting with you because, you know, you never know where the conversation's going to go and you have such a good time. And you know, we could probably talk for hours. So
I'd love to come back on your show. I promise.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
Maybe then I won't be doped up on Actifed, which I can,
and maybe then
blame it on the Actifed.
Make a cameo and come down and chat with us.
Oh, that would be lovely. I'll fly to wherever you are as long as you open up what's on that shelf I see behind you.
You can have whatever I will bring any bottle from
You'd have to change the Facebook Live title to Two Drunk Women. Yeah. Hello. No, but this has been quite an honor. Thank you so much, Ariana. I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to meet Todd this time around, but you know, maybe next time.
I've loved having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of your wisdom with us and your story. And we will surely have you on again so that we can dive deeper in and talk about more, you know, life and business and all of those things.
Yeah, and as we say in French, je vous souhaite une bonne soirée, which means have a beautiful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. You as well. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. If you haven't found it yet, come over and join our Facebook community for family entrepreneurs at familyentrepreneur.life.com. All right, everyone, I hope you have a lovely evening. Thank you, Dorothea. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.